From 8 hours to 30 minutes, how I finally broke my phone addiction. I'm ashamed to write this, but my screen time was averaging at 8 hours a day, mostly social media videos. It was completely destroying my focus and relationship. The scary part is how it sneaks up on you. So I read this and I thought this was a really interesting post to actually go from, because obviously this person, 8 hours a day on social media, or on average, right? And that is ridiculous, right? I mean, we're talking, over 50 hours a week on social media. So, first of all, I want to say that whatever overstimulating thing you're doing, whether you're on your phone or you're playing loads of video games, at the end of the day, right, this is stuff that's going to overstimulate you. This is stuff which is going to numb you out from anything else with the world in terms of just day-to-day things, in terms of any other external interests you may have. So I want to sort of look at what he's sort of done here. So for reference, this person spent 1.5 hours scrolling in the morning. He'd spend about 45 minutes on coffees and meals, always with his phone. He'd do a quick check after work, which would be 2.5 hours long. He'd say just 10 minutes before bed, which became 2 hours. He'd then scroll for another hour or so in the middle of the night, and then generally an hour and a half random points in the day. So what you have here is you just have just chronic overstimulation. And at this point, it just feels like, when you have someone that spends this much time, for example, on social media or just on their phone on overstimulating stuff, there is no way you can get anything done, or there's no way you then have room for other interest when you've got this much stimulation coming in. And I know this from experience because when I would spend lots of time, and for me, it was more video games, when I would spend times literally from 6 in the morning to about 2 or 3 in the afternoon playing video games, like everything else became dull, right? The work that I was doing, and like some of these times I was working on my business. Some of the time I was working on my business, and my business became just dull, right? I didn't want to do anything other than the video games, or for this person, it wouldn't be anything other than scrolling. And this is really problematic. And a lot of this is, in my opinion, the whole comparison, right? It's like, well, for example, something like scrolling on social media and watching content, it's like, how much reward are you getting and how much pain is it? Because a lot of the time, it's like the pain of things like that overstimulating like this is so minimal, right? It's a few clicks compared to whatever work you're doing, which the reward is probably pretty much the same, but the pain is so much greater. And I guess sometimes the reward isn't always confirmed. It just means that in comparison, your brain is logically thinking, well, I'm doing this overstimulating thing over here, right? Why am I even going to bother? So this is obviously really interesting, and he basically said that a few of the sort of strategies he tried with this, one of which he was saying going grayscale after 6 p.m. I think that's quite interesting. Obviously, for him, he basically said that it's more just, he hates how it looks, but that's the point, because if it doesn't look as sort of bright and colorful, that's obviously a big one. A few other things he sort of said in terms of screen time blockers. Screen time blockers is actually something that I use as well. A lot of people, and I mean, like he sort of says, like everyone talks about how they actually sort of like don't work, and so on and so forth. So I know for myself, I use like a strict app blocker. For my phone, I just have something called app blocker. I have the strict version. You literally cannot change it. You can't uninstall it when it is set. It sounds horrible, and sometimes it is, but honestly speaking, I see it as something that protects my time and energy, as opposed to something which restricts me from everything enjoyable, right? And sometimes I'll block things entirely. Sometimes I'll give myself either a certain amount of time a day or just within a window. So, for example, for me, if it's YouTube, I will always make sure that it is blocked 10 p.m. onwards, just so that I'm not, doing anything ridiculous and watching YouTube videos till the very evening. So even things like that makes a big difference. But one of the most important things that he actually says here is actually replace the habits with stuff I enjoy. That's really key, because that's the sort of stuff, honestly speaking, I think that just trumps everything here, right? You could forget the grayscale, forget, completely blacking out social media or even the blockers. If you have interest, which everyone has interest or curiosity in certain things, start there. Start there and look at what that is. Look at what that is. Look at what that could be. For me, it was okay. Well, I enjoy playing video games a lot, and for reference, I used something called Ikigai a lot of the time. I think it's a Japanese sort of thing. I'm not sure, but I use Ikigai a lot, where you'd look at what the world needs, what I enjoy, what I'm good at, what I can get paid for, that sort of stuff, and just taking a look at that, writing a few things down, right, and just like it could seem a bit silly, but just write things down. And what I found was that I enjoyed playing video games, of course, because I had issues with playing, 6, 7 hours every single day. But I also quite enjoyed playing around with AI, right? Being able to build systems. I mean, at the time, I was sort of, using AI to sort of assist in some of my business sort of workflows and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, could I develop video games? And there was the thought of, okay, well, maybe I need to learn how to code. And I did have this small sort of segment on where I did start to learn code. But then there was the thought of, well, could I not just use AI, which I quite enjoy using, to learn how to make a video game, which obviously I quite enjoy being able to play. And when I went enough back and forth with GPT to figure out if that was possible, it basically said, well, yeah. And I even asked, well, could I actually make images for the game, right? Because the idea of, okay, well, I need to learn to code, that's one roadblock. I need to make images, that's another roadblock. And I need to put it together, that's another roadblock. I thought, okay, well, if I can make all the code with AI, that's pretty much that roadblock done. If I can make all the images with AI, so I don't need to be getting loads of asset packs, that's another thing that's down. And so all of a sudden I was like, well, let's give this a go. And when I did, I mean, after, I don't know, 30, 40 hours or something, I think probably about 20 to 30 actually, I had a very ugly looking but functioning combat scene where you could hit and defend, and that was that. But that was a really big turning point for me, because I realized, okay, I can make this work. And I was able to take that interest and give time and energy more so to it, which as a result really did help. Now, yes, I still have some of these other things, right? Primarily the time blockers and sort of app blocker stuff. That does help because it just helps protect my time and doesn't allow me to spiral off. So what will I say for this video? So honestly speaking, I think what this guy has done is really impressive, right? To go from 8 hours to about 30 minutes, sort of a day on average in terms of phone time is really, really serious work. Now, if you're someone that struggled with, perhaps overstimulating things, your phone, consuming content, playing video games, perhaps similar to me, then I think really what matters the most is just finding stuff you enjoy. What I would recommend is look at creating your own ikigai. Really look at just figuring out, what is it that you're interested in or just even curious about, right? Like the whole idea of making video games entirely pretty much with AI. Obviously, I still need to actually put the things in there, and I need to give AI enough context in terms of what I want to do. Like that definitely makes the process easier, but it's still difficult, right? And it's still difficult when you don't know how to code and you just need to rely on AI for things. But the point being is I was able to find that direction and give consistent energy to it. Meaning that when it comes to that perhaps bad habit, or when it comes to, for example, wanting to play video games, 'cause at the moment I still play video games from time to time. I still do. I don't have an issue with it as much as I used to. Because the point being is when I then decide, do I want to play video games or do I want to do the thing that I'm actually more so interested in and building, which is a video game that I want to release? It's like, well, I now have two things in sight. I now have two things that I want to do. And so I can now choose which one I want to do. And for reference, I'm about probably 6 days until I go to apply for my first games demo. So this is obviously a pretty, exciting experience. But the point being is I couldn't get to this point without being able to find something I actually want to do. Because a lot of people say, oh, get into reading or get into the gym or, do this and that improvement thing. And that stuff is all well and good. But if you don't actually want to do it, if you're not actually interested in it, you won't last with it. You just won't. And I know this for myself. So let me know what your thoughts are on this. Let me know if you're someone that has struggled with, overstimulation, whether it's your phone, content, video games. Let me know if you're still going through this or what you've done before. I'd really be quite interested to know. But overall, that's pretty much the video, and I'll catch you soon.